Thank you, Adam. Hi, I'm Rieko. I'm lead localization project manager at Slack. So this webinar theme is how to apply global users' voice for product development. And I have a good story to share today. It's our user research trip to Japan back in 2017. It was 6 months before the launch of Slack Japanese version. Internationalization is a Slack top priority always, but what pushed us to take a trip to Japan? Next slide, please. We were localizing Slack to French, German, Japanese, and Spanish. Among those languages, the Japanese market was such a mystery for many members at Slack. But Japan was a very important market for Slack back then because we had a huge user base in Japan, even though the app wasn't localized yet. So to enter the Japanese market in the best way possible, there was a strong need to understand the Japanese company culture, their work style, how they use tools and the office, yada, yada, yada. More specifically, for the product team, they were trying to figure out if there were any risks with our current product and service. For marketing team, they wanted to understand what would be a good marketing approach. And for me, the localization team, I wanted to find the right voice and tone for Slack in Japanese. So now I'm a lead project manager in the localization team, but I actually joined Slack as a Japanese translator in 2016. That's when the localization team was just created. Slack had a very unique, friendly voice and tone, and that was loved by American users because it was different from other softwares back then. So when I joined, I had to establish the Japanese voice and tone, which still keeps the original Slack friendliness, but appropriate to Japanese users. Based on the data of the users in Japan, such as industry and age, I established the Japanese voice and tone. So in Japanese, there are different politeness levels, and I worked hard to spot the right level of politeness, which still carries out the Slack friendliness, but not rude. I need to verify if that is really the right approach for Japanese users. So the members from the product team, the marketing team, and the research team, and me from the localization team packed our laptops and went to Japan. We visited offices of Japanese companies. We conducted focus group interviews with 4 different types of stakeholders, and we had a follow-up face-to-face user interviews after the focus group. The trip was so insightful, and the report is actually huge. And I don't have time to share all the findings today, so I will share some highlights. Next slide, please. For the marketing teams, they confirmed it was the right time to enter the Japanese market because in Japan, at that time, there was a large work style reform movement happening. Companies had a need for introducing new tools. At the same time, we found that there were marketing challenges due to traditional Japanese work ethic. This helped them to form the go-to-market strategy. And for the product team, we got a couple of interesting feature requests. And we, after all, introduced a special setting to send messages that's specific to Japanese. We heard the request for this option during user research, and the product team investigated further later, and it was introduced at Japanese launch. And for me, I verified the politeness level I said was working, big yes moment. But there were some new findings, and I applied those later. One of the more interesting ones is that when the text is 100% translated into Japanese and there's no English words at all, users said that it didn't feel native and natural. In Japan, some words stays in English, especially in software. when those are translated, they feel it's rather translated text. So I became more careful on checking if the word is common in English or translated, and left more terms in English intentionally. So that was our user research trip. We learned many unexpected things by simply talking and listening to the users. And this was extremely valuable to provide a better user experience in the end. Well, some of you are probably thinking, we cannot get the budget to take a trip abroad easily. You don't need to. Our team has also done user interviews online. Now, we have tools and services to make it possible. So we can totally do it without traveling to the place. But, the sushi is better in Tokyo, so I'm so glad I could go to Japan. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and back to you, Adam.